listening to the Insightful Nutrition Podcast, the podcast that highlights creators and innovators of algae friendly and alternative products, businesses, and services, sharing their entrepreneurial journey. I am your host, Nicole Farquharson. Let's get the show rolling. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first official episode of the Insightful Nutrition Podcast. Now, if you're a new subscriber or you're just tuning in to listening to your first episode, welcome. Now, today, I'm accompanied by our guest, Elizabeth Ray Franck, the owner of Raise the Valley. Raise the Valley is a company that provides flatbreads and pizza crusts that are low carb, gluten free, with the three base ingredients almond flour, psyllium husk, and flaxseed. Now, I'm very inspired by her risk taking entrepreneurial spirit, even though she has been through a lot of circumstances throughout her childhood. Now, I will not give you a sneak peek of her story, so I'm going to let the journey speak for itself. But before we get into the conversation, I'd like to inform you that the Insightful Nutrition Podcast is on social media, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. You can also tag the Insightful Nutrition Podcast if you're listening to an episode and share your favorite moment from the episode. You can follow this podcast anytime, anywhere on your podcast player. If you're trying to share the podcast with your friend, neighbor, and family members, it is found on any podcast player on Android and on your iPhones. So, without further ado, let's jump into the conversation with Elizabeth Ray Franck.
I was going on your website and I read the story about the company and how it started. And I thought you were working with another company to start your own company. I thought it was really touching because up to the point that you were 19, I did not know. You didn't know that you had celiac disease.
I mean, whenever I was 19 years old, celiac disease wasn't a thing. Gluten sensitivity, gluten intolerance, like that wasn't a thing when I was in high school or middle school. So when I was sick and having the symptoms of celiac disease that are pretty common now, no one knew what was going on when I was young.
So you never heard of a dietitian when you had the sickness before?
I went to dietitians. When I was in school, I was bouncing from MD to dietitians to this specialist to that specialist, and no one could figure out what was going on. It was actually a friend of mine who went to a chiropractor, and the chiropractor suggested she get tested for celiac disease. He was talking to me, and my symptoms were very similar to hers. And then she's like, you might have celiac disease as well. And so then I went to an MD and I told the MD to test me for celiac disease. And they were kind of hesitant at first because there's a woman who's coming in, like a child coming in saying, hey, I think I have this disease, test me for it. They don't really want to do it. And they're like, wait, we didn't even talk to you yet. So then I got tested, and then turns out, I had the celiac gene and my antibodies were really high. And I didn't go through the biopsy, though. Because the biopsy is...
So you had a tough childhood, but you managed to pull through. You managed to control it. And once you found out, you really triumphed over that once you knew about it.
Yeah, it was a lot of trial and error, really. Because I went from diet to diet to diet because I knew that something was wrong because I had depression ever since I was in middle school, and I knew I had depression and anxiety. I had severe abdominal pain. My bones were really brittle. I constantly had broken bones. And I couldn't sleep. I had sleep apnea. I would stop breathing when I was sleeping, and I knew that I could fix it through nutrition. but I didn't know anything about nutrition. You know, here I was just in middle school, so I didn't know anything. So I went, actually, whenever I was in high school, I went vegan for about 3 years, and I got worse. And then, because like the mainstream media was talking up about how vegan diet, plant-based raw vegan diet was the diet to be on. Yeah. And I was like, well, I'm going to do it. Like I'm sick. I feel awful. I'm depressed. My stomach hurts. Like I have all of these different symptoms. I'm going to go vegan. So I went vegan and I started feeling a little bit better 3 months into a vegan diet. But that was because I cut out wheat. Time went on, I got worse. I got, I was low in iron. When I was in high school, I got my blood tested and I was low. And then I went paleo. And when I was in high school, paleo was kind of a new diet. So then I transitioned to paleo. I didn't get any better after that. And then I went into college in my college years, and I was majoring in dietetics. So I was in my second or third year of dietetics school. So I was majoring in nutrition, and I never heard of the ketogenic diet before, low carb, high fat diet. And then 3 months on a low carb, high fat diet, I started to feel better. I was 22 years old at this time, and I had my first menstrual cycle ever, and I was at high risk for uterine cancer.
I've never heard of somebody saying that they first saw their period at 22 years old. 22 years old.
Yeah.
Now, how did you come up with the product? Was it because of your illness?
It was. So whenever I was introduced to the ketogenic diet by my boyfriend at the time, I always had a love for the kitchen. I grew up with a mom who was a stay-at-home mom, and she always cooked meals for us every single day. So I grew up kind of helping her. We had a garden and an orchard. I grew up in the country, rural country. So we had our own garden, and and it was a rural Catholic country family. I kind of had this fondness for creating and cooking my own recipes as well, because of her. And whenever I went keto, I was just eating meat and vegetables, and that was it. And I was a bread addict, so I loved stuff, and I loved my toast in the morning, and I wanted that back. So I just took to the kitchen, and I just experimented with. I went on Pinterest, and I was just looking at different recipes. And then I kind of combined a bunch of recipes together to form a ketogenic style bread. And it took me about like 2 years to get what the product is now, playing around in the kitchen. And that's kind of how I created my bread. So I first started with making dinner rolls. And I made that, and it was during Thanksgiving, and I made like turkey sandwiches with the low carb dinner rolls. Yeah. And then my boyfriend at the time, he was just like, wow, this seriously is low carb? I was like, yeah, it is. It's made of almond flour, flax meal, and psyllium husk. And it's pretty much it, and water. And after that, he was like, you could sell this.
Yes.
I couldn't I?
Yeah, yes, you can.
So I started selling at the local farmers market. So I sold to the local farmers market for a few months, and then decided to start it up online. So I got a Squarespace account and started a website, and my products that I sent out were god awful.
Oh my!
I had a big problem with molding.
Okay.
So my first batch of products that I sent out were horrible. Even say it honestly. So they molded. They just didn't form correctly, like just with shipping wise. So it took me quite a while to get the shipping down, and then I kind of just transitioned into, instead of dinner rolls, because the moisture level was so high, so that didn't work for shipping wise. If they were frozen and I could ship frozen, that would be awesome, but shipping is so expensive. And I couldn't ship in dry ice or anything like that, so I had to discontinue that, and that's why I went to the flatbread, which is, I mean, that's what I kind of have right now. That's what I'm doing now, or flatbreads. So then I just kind of changed it up to flatbreads and pizza crusts.
So basically, you changed from something that had a lot of high water content to something that has less water content.
Yeah, it was easier. It was easier to ship.
Right. It was easier to store and it was easier to
you
ship.
play around when you first start a company. I mean, the first product that you send out, it's gonna be pretty shitty. It's pretty bad. And then you build on your mistakes and you learn from them, and then years later it just gets better and better and better. And I'm in my second year now in running Raise the Valley. But my first original name was Cynthia Ann Bakery. And then
why did you change it from Cynthia Ann Bakery to Raise the Life?
Well, so I named the company I named the company after my mom. But then it just kind of got a little sad because I named it. My mom passed away from breast when I was my freshman year of college. And I kind of named the company after her in her memory, because she's the one who introduced me to a healthier lifestyle. Because when she got cancer, she started studying alternative medicine. And she went the traditional way. She did the chemotherapy and the radiation, but she was also looking into traditional medicine, and that's kind of what got me interested in it. And I named it after her in her memory. But then it just, I don't know, it was just kind of a sad name, I guess, for me. Just kind of a constant reminder. And then also had the word bakery in it, and people kept messaging me and asking for cakes and cookies. And I was like, not really a bakery, food production company, pizza and flatbread. So I rebranded to Raise the Valley. I want to rebrand again. I keep wanting to rebrand.
Really? Because I thought Raise the Valley was more, you just stop right there. I thought you would just stop right there, Raise the Valley. Because I understand that you named the company after your mother. You want to remember her because she introduced you to the lifestyle that changed your life and everything. Well, if it's okay for you to rebrand, you can rebrand.
A little bit more perkier, a little bit more happier. Ray. So my name is Rachel Elizabeth Ray, and I usually Frank. So I usually go with just Ray. People just call me Ray. So that's I kind of did it on a play on words, Ray, raise the valley, raise the valley. So I thought of it. I thought it was kind of first. But I think I might stick with it for now. I mean, we already have the packaging and everything.
Right. Everybody kind of getting accustomed to Raise the Valley now. So
I keep wanting to change everything. I just need to keep it the same. But
Now, after you came up with the name of the product, did you have any business plan, a strategy to get the word about the product? How did you introduce the actual product to the people?
I didn't have a plan at all. I didn't start forming a business plan until 2019, the middle of 2019. I started it out just testing it, just seeing if it was working. But really my main focus was trying to get myself healthy. Because I dropped out of college because I was so severely ill. And then my main career was literally just trying to get me healthy. So I was just Uber driving. I was Airbnb-ing out my house, still am. And I was working as a waitress while I was forming this company. and I didn't have any experience. I didn't have any role models. I didn't have any knowledge whatsoever starting a company. I just did it. I didn't even think about it.
Just took the risk and just take the plunge in.
I didn't even think about it. I didn't think about the work that it takes. I didn't even think about the steps. I didn't sit down and write a business plan. I just literally thought, hey, I got a pretty good freaking product. I'm going to sell it, see if other people might like it. I don't know. We'll see where it goes. But yeah, I didn't start a business plan until this year. This year, then I just started to sit down and thought, all right, this is actually a company. I'm actually running a company that's making a profit. I should probably sit down and get cracking. I got to the point where I was healthy enough to where now I'm running it as a company and not so much as kind of just a testing product, I suppose.
Did you go through any manufacturing process with the product?
Nope.
No, not at all.
Manufacturing, I did for the first year, I was just cooking my product in my own kitchen. So I live in Missouri, and in Missouri, we are, I followed the rules and guidelines of what's called the cottage law. So the cottage law, and this is the rules for like the health department, you can bake and manufacture and cook and sell to the direct individual without being certified by the health department. So you can do this in your own home.
Really?
Yeah. Really? Scary, right? When you think about
it. It's really scary. Because, some people like to regulate what you're doing and then test to see if it's healthy,
no regulation.
If it's up to standards and everything like that.
Yeah, so I just cooked it. I was just baking out of my own kitchen, out of my own standard oven. I was just filling orders and baking and packaging out of my own home. I sold my couch and I sold my table. I sold everything in my house. And then I just turned my living room and my kitchen into like a little factory. And then after I started to get more sales and ramping it up, and I thought, whoa, this product's becoming really popular. People want this. I then converted my garage into a kitchen. So I have like an industrial oven. And then I bought a bunch of stainless steel tables. I was given a bunch of stainless steel tables, I should say. I didn't buy anything hardly. And then now, then I started producing products in my garage, still following the guidelines of the health department through the law, the cottage law. But then now, I'm getting to the point where, I'm actually building a facility. So I'm building a manufacturing, I wouldn't say a plant, but just a manufacturing facility. No one pays attention to you.
I've never heard of someone selling their own furniture to start a business. I've never heard someone like that in my life.
You can I wanted to get disciplined. So, I mean, this was just last year, in 2018. That's when I decided, I was like, I'm gonna make this company work. Like, I'm gonna get disciplined and I'm gonna become a freaking entrepreneur. Let's do this. So I sold all of my furniture. I didn't want a couch because I didn't want to sit. And then I needed space for tables. So I sold, like, you could kind of, I've got a coffee table. Well, I made that actually, but it just has a coffee Keurig on it. Got my tea and my coffee on it. That's the only thing that's in my house. There's nothing else in my house except for one table with a coffee maker. I wanted to get disciplined. And I decided, okay, I'm not going to have a life for a little while. A good probably 3 years. I'm going to live the bare minimum life. People on Instagram, people kind of always laugh about this, but I sold all of my clothes, almost all of them. And I just wear the same thing over and over again. It prevents option paralysis. So I'm only focused on my company. I'm only focused on building my brand. So I just literally have like this. It's just a wife beater. It's just a white tank top.
We Jamaicans call that marina.
Oh, you call it marina?
Yes.
Just the plain white tank top? Marina?
Yeah, we call that marina.
Aha. Well, I've got like 50 of these. They were like $3 at Walmart. So I just bought a bunch of those, and then I just have 2 pairs of jeans, and even all of my underwear is exactly the same. Like everything is the same. I wear the exact same thing, but different clothing every single day to prevent option paralysis. And I'm zeroing into the company. So no furniture, you wear the same clothes. I eat the same food over and over again, so I don't have to think about dinner. I just eat 1 ribeye a day.
1 ribeye, wow. What motivated you to make the big move to go ahead in the entrepreneurship venture?
Probably the fact that I don't want to be normal. I mean, I don't want to be mediocre. Like, I feel like most people, and I'm kind of talking about my friends here, love them to death, but there's this system. You go to college, you get your degree, you go into the workforce, you're in massive amount of debt, then you buy a car, then you become even more in debt. So you have your car debt, you have your student loan debt, then you get married, then you usually get your wedding debt. Then you buy a house, then you have your house debt. And I just kind of followed the pattern, and I was just looking at it and observing it. And I just thought, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be a woman who's in debt. I don't want to be a woman who's working for someone. And at this time I was kind of studying, just self-studying and learning about the Federal Reserve, and I was learning about the banking system. And then I thought, I'm going to beat the system. I don't want to just be a statistic. Yeah. And I think that was probably one of the big reasons why I decided to go into business myself too. I mean, there's multiple reasons why. One reason was I wanted to share the fact that you can cure yourself or manage a disease. So I did something pretty freaking incredible. I mean, I was extremely ill, and I overcame that illness through nutrition. And I mean, that was one of the reasons why I wanted to start this company, is I wanted to share my story and share that you can overcome lupus, you can overcome celiac disease, you can manage these symptoms, diabetes. I have insulin resistant, so it's very, very similar to a diabetic. So it's kind of multiple reasons why I started to go into the entrepreneurship.
Because you're a living testament of that entrepreneurship venture. It's not just one company can help everybody. It has to be segmented and, divided into different niches. So you're a big testament to that story.
Thank you. That's it's a journey. I'll tell you what. It's hard.
It is hard.
It's not for the faint of heart. I will tell you that. You have to put your life on hold. You can't, I'm not dating. You can't date and try to run a company. You don't have a social life. But yes, sacrifices is probably the number one thing of being an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to give up a lot. And I was ready to give it up. I mean, I wanted to make a change.
Did you do any courses or any training sessions to ensure that the product is of high quality?
I listened to a lot of podcasts. I read a lot of articles, and I mean, this was before I even started my product. Because I was so ill and I was trying to figure out how to cure myself or how to manage my disease myself, without going the medical route because MDs, I'm really bashing on the MDs here, but they kept on prescribing for my celiac disease, and that wasn't going to cure anything or not cure it, manage it. So I took to the internet. So I started listening to Rhonda Patrick. I was a big listener. I always listened to Joe Rogan's podcasts. So I always listened to the guests that he had on there. Matthew Walker was one of the guests too. He's like a sleep specialist. And I just listened to a lot of different scientists and specialists and doctors on social media. And that's how I kind of was informed about the ketogenic diet. That's how I learned about a low carb lifestyle. And that's kind of one of the reasons why I thought, like, okay, well, this product is going to be pretty goddamn healthy for you then. It doesn't have any wheat in it. It's not gonna it doesn't have sugar. It's just simple, clean ingredients. No preservatives, no dextrose, none of these words you can't pronounce. And that's kind of how I realized, that my product was going to be healthy. It's just simple, clean ingredients. And just things that I've learned through podcasts, through listening to people like Dr. Rhonda Patrick. But no courses, no studies. I was in school to become a dietitian, and they didn't teach you anything in school. My 3 years of majoring in dietetics, worthless.
I did dietetics as well, and I had to, we were taught about celiac disease at school, so I'm very surprised that you mentioned that they didn't really teach much at school when you were doing dietetics.
They didn't. I went to an okay school. It was a good 4-year university, and they had one of the top dietetics program in my state. But they were teaching studies from like the 1990s. The studies that they were teaching and the course schedule and stuff they were going through. I could disprove almost everything that they were teaching by just going on Google, going to like dailyscience.com or something like that, pulling up the most recent studies. And I did that a few times in classes. I was a horrible, I guess I was a horrible student. So I would usually always argue with my professors. I'm like, wait a minute, this has been disproven just like 6 months ago. And so I would like pull up the most recent study on my phone. I'm like, yes, this is disproven. Like fat is not going to cause cholesterol. Like eating a steak a day is not going to cause a heart attack. And they always got mad at me, and they yelled at me, and they flunked me.
You were so way ahead of the instructor. You were so way ahead. You did your research. You read. You did a lot to prove. I wish I was like you.
I'm good enough for college, man. I don't think it's college material.
Did college push you to be an entrepreneur though?
No, college is worthless. Honestly, I learned the most about becoming an entrepreneur, and I learned the most about finances whenever I dropped out of college. So my junior year was when I dropped out of college, and I studied on my own. I just hit the podcast. I listened to like a podcast a day. I started reading books like The Creature of Jekyll Island. Which is about the Federal Reserve. I just started reading books and studying on my own, and that's really how I learned. And same with nutrition. I just started listening to podcasts, listening to scientists talk about the latest studies, and I followed what they would say. I mean, see, I started learning about biohacking about 4 or 5 years ago, maybe. And then I started biohacking. Everything that I would learn, I would implement immediately into my life. And then I saw the changes and I saw the effects, and I was like, all right, this is it. That's I guess it's more hands-on learning, I suppose, and that's how I learned. But a college environment was not good for me. I didn't learn that way. It did nothing I learned absolutely nothing in college.
You were too good for college. You were way ahead of college. You were way beyond your years.
I was a little smart aleck, I think. You got a smack to the head or something.
Now, after you promoted the product, how long did it take for you to make a profit?
I don't know, because when I first started to promote it, I wasn't really gung-ho promoting it. It was kind of, I kind of acted like it was just a little hobby, really. But I would say maybe the beginning of 2019, or the end of 2018 is when the company started to get a little bit more popular. And that was just through Instagram. I still only market on Instagram to this day. Like, it's just on Instagram and that's it. And all I did was I sent some samples to influencers. And I was just very honest and open with them. And I just said, hey, this is a new company. Like, it's just me. I don't have any money. I just would want to send you samples. I would like to see what you think of the product and go from there. If you like it, promote it. If you don't, you can say you don't like it, or you can just throw it away. And that's when it kind of started to strike big, because the influencers would like it, and then they would just post about it and make different meals, and then it just kind of trickled on word of mouth. And then I got Thomas DeLauer interested in my product. I don't know if you're familiar with Thomas DeLauer or not. He's a big keto influencer, celebrity fitness trainer. He really likes my product, and then he promoted it.
That was the guy on the YouTube video.
Yeah, it was a YouTube video.
How would you describe the finances in running the business from the start until now?
You're gonna be broke and broke and broke. You're gonna be broke for a long time. Like I said, I sold everything in my home. I have absolutely nothing. I sold everything. All the money that I sold, I put right back into the company for marketing or buying bulk products. I started this company where I didn't find investors. I didn't take out a loan. I was literally just self-funding the company through Uber driving. And selling my furniture. So you're living like a broke woman for a long time.
Well, I was broke too. So
yeah, and I don't know. I don't want to be broke, but at the same time, I like it. I know that sounds but it makes you extremely disciplined and motivated, and it's just like, all I want in life, seriously, is just a very nice house and a nice smoker in the backyard.
What's your finances? What's the financing status of the company now? What's your status?
Status wise, personally, still broke. Right now it's kind of in transition stage. So I can't, my biggest issue here is I marketed too soon. So I marketed way too soon to where I have people, I had South America, a distributor from South America wanting to purchase my product, wanting to purchase, thousands of dollars worth of product. And I couldn't fill them because I wasn't in a certified kitchen. I didn't have the manufacturing power to be able to do that. So I had to turn them down. And then I also I had GNC contact me. But these are all my biggest mistakes here, okay? I'm learning my mistakes.
Yeah.
I had GNC contact me wanting to purchase. I had different grocery stores all over the country constantly. They're still to this day, they're constantly asking me to purchase bulk items. And I'm in this point where it's like, well, shoot, I can't go over $50,000 in sales or I'm breaking the law. I don't want to break the law, not business law anyway. I'll break other laws, but not this one. I had to turn them all down. And that was probably like the biggest mistake I've ever made, was just not having a facility ready, not having manufacturing power to pump out this product ready in time. So I marketed too early. And that's what I'm currently building a facility now. And then probably in a month to a month and a half, hopefully start going to retail. I can contact all of these distributors back and say, hey, I'm ready now. Do you still want me? So that's kind of where I'm at now is I didn't know that my product was going to be such a success. I was just kind of shooting the shit, I guess.
Yeah. You were just taking risks. You were just planting in. You had that interest in the product.
I didn't understand the demand for my product at that time, and now I learned the best by making mistakes. Really, challenge is not being in a larger facility to be able to pump out the product. Money was a big one because I didn't look for investors. I didn't even take a loan. Like I said, all I did was just sell my furniture and Uber drive and Airbnb out my house that I'm living in. And that's how I just been funding the company to start off. I don't know, loans, they scare me. So I'm kind of in this moment now where I'm like, all right, I got to take an SBA loans because I have to get into a certified kitchen facility ASAP. I can't move any further really because I'm right on that peak.
Yeah.
Following the law.
What valuable lessons have you gained as an entrepreneur throughout the entire process?
You gotta stay consistent. Consistency is key. That's probably the biggest lesson that I've learned is you have to stay consistent. I think I have ADHD or something because it's so hard. Or I'm just I'm fighting my little monkey brain or something. I don't know. But staying consistent, keeping at it. Even when times get rough and days are not working for you, you just have to keep on trucking. Working out helps a lot with that.
Stress and all of that.
Yep. That's why I setting a schedule is probably one of the most important things I would say, because I set the schedule up to where I wake up at 5 a.m. in the morning, and then I hit the gym right away. So by 5:15, I'm in the gym. And then by 7 o'clock, I'm home, I'm showered, and by 7:30, I'm ready to go to work.
Time management, crucial.
Time management. I only eat once a day, so I don't eat anything from 7:30 until around 2:30 to 3:30. And then I eat my first meal of the day to wind down.
No breakfast?
Nope. No breakfast, no lunch. Literally just water. Water and maybe some coffee. I go days too where I'll do no caffeine. So I'll go like a whole week without caffeine, and then I'll reintroduce it, just eating once a day. And the same thing over and over again, because I don't want to think about my food. I want my mind and all of my energy to be focused on the company and nothing else.
What advice would you give someone if they were in your position right now?
Advice? If they were an entrepreneur or
if they were thinking of becoming an entrepreneur, they're developing the same product as you or different.
The famous words of Jordan Peterson, I would say, clean your room. Make sure your room is clean, because if your room is clean, your brain is one messy brain. You gotta be organized. You gotta be clean.
Yeah.
Clean your room. Take care of yourself first.
Yeah.
If you don't take care of yourself, you're not gonna be able to run a company. Take care of yourself. One priority. Get yourself healthy and organized. In 2017 and 18, that was my primary job, was just to get myself healthy and organized. Now, since I'm to that point, now it's discipline time.
Well, I have to say, you have been such a big inspiration. I think your story captivated me, and that is why I wanted to interview you. As actually, you're the first person I said, I really want to, she's baking pie crust, she's making flatbread. I've never heard of someone making flatbread and pie crust, and it's all keto. I've never heard of that before. It has to exist, and it has to go out, and someone has to be influenced by you. And I just want to say thank you so much for doing this episode with me.
Oh, you're welcome.
It really is a big motivation for anybody out there struggling with the celiac disease.
Celiacs to lupus to gluten sensitivity to just weight issue in general. I mean, just cutting out refined carbohydrates will make a huge difference in your life.
And people find it hard to say, oh, they can't do without the bread, they can't do without the bread.
Yeah, I was a huge pizza eater. I was a huge, oh my God, I loved pasta too. Oh, I was an athlete too my entire life. So all of my coaches always told me, you'll load up on those carbs the day before a race, and not knowing that the carbs are actually slowly killing me. But yeah, no, and I think with my product, with my low carb and gluten free pizza crust and flatbread, what I think is great about Raise the Valley is it's for the average American just making that simple change, just replacing their morning toast with Raise the Valley toast. That one thing, because I think because I always think of long-term health. So what's going to be something, because not everyone is going to be as disciplined. I'm a freak. I have to say that. I'm a disciplined freak. And I understand that most people are not going to be like that. Like my family, they do not understand me at all. I'm a freak of the family, that's for sure. But just these simple changes in your life can make a dramatic change in your overall health and well-being. Taking out that morning toast and replacing it with Raise the Valley toast. Taking out Friday night pizza and just still having your pizza, but just changing the crust. And then just these small little changes. And then over time, 15 years, or not even that, over time, it's not a huge lifestyle change for the average American or just the average individual. And then they start eating a healthier and they start lifestyle without being a dramatic change or a dramatic shock to their system. So I think that's what kind of Raise the Valley is all about. It's just a slow, gradual change into a healthier lifestyle.
And how would you advise someone if they're struggling to make that small little change in their diet based on what they're going through?
My advice for somebody, I usually advise myself, and I'm very strict with myself.
Yeah.
The way I talk to myself is probably not the way I would talk to anybody else.
Mhm.
But really just advice to someone who is struggling, take it one day at a time. And, make small changes one day at a time and just keep on making those small changes.
Would you also tell them not to rush it?
It depends on their personality. So with me, I can instantly change my eating habits, like the day of. I mean, the moment I found out about the ketogenic diet, I changed immediately, and I didn't go back ever since. And that's been like 5-6 years now. Most people can't do that, but I mean, I think I did that just because I hit rock bottom. Like, I was in horrible shape. I mean, mentally, physically, just everything. My body was broken down. So I was able to change right away. And I didn't get keto flu like most people do, too. Most people who go on keto, they start feeling ill and sick, and they get that keto flu and detoxing. And I didn't get that. And I think that might have been just because I've been changing my diet. So ever since middle school, I've always went on different diets just because I was trying to fix my illness. So I went vegan, then I went raw vegan, then I went paleo, then I went, what was that?
Low carb.
Yeah, I think I just went keto after that. And then after keto, I went carnivore. That's what I am now currently, because keto was awesome and it helped a lot. But with my disease and how severely damaged my gut was, I needed to go a little bit more intense. And that's when I went carnivore. So then I cut out everything but meat. And now I just drink water and eat meat. And that's about it. 1 ribeye a day and water. That's all. Basic advice for people, just one day at a time, I suppose. Make small, gradual changes. Replace your bread.
Elizabeth, Frank, thank you so much for allowing me to interview you on the Inside the Nutrition podcast. It was really inspiring for me to have you, and I'm sure a lot of other listeners out there have been inspired by your story. And I hope you continue to push yourself. Ignore the jokers. If they see you moving this, selling that, just to make your business happen, it is going to make things better for you. So thank you so much for coming in. Thank you so much for taking
Absolutely.
me. Thank you for taking the time, because you could have had other things to do and you wouldn't sit down and spend the time to talk with me at all. Trust me. Thank you so much. Oh,
I'm kind of a hermit. I just kind of stay to myself. I got 2 cats that I hang out with.
2 cats. 2 cats. I have no cat at all, and I hate cats. So anytime I see one in the yard, I just run them out, because they always come and they smell the fish and they just want to come in the kitchen and snatch the
Oh, they're adorable. I'm a big animal lover, to be honest. I think my dream is just to have like a little cabin away from everyone in the middle of nowhere with just a bunch of animals, horses, dogs, and cats, and me, and I don't know, eventually maybe a man, but for now it's just gonna be me. Me and my
Thank you
little
so
hermit.
much. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me. I really appreciate it. I really want to thank you so much.
Well, thanks for taking the
And
time to Raise the Valley.
Well, thank you to Raise the Valley. Thank you to Elizabeth Frank for coming on the Insight for Nutrition podcast. I hope the listeners are inspired by listening to your story, and I hope you continue to push. I hope you continue to just go beyond your limits. Just go for it, and continue on this venture. Put yourself you have put yourself on a level that you underestimated your lecturers. You did what other college students didn't do. You just really went out there and you're just making it happen. And I'm so inspired by that. So thank you so much.
You
Thank
definitely
you
make me
so
feel good
much.
about myself. Thank you very
Yes,
much.
you have to feel good. This story is going to be out there.
So before we end today's episode, you can find Raise the Valley on Instagram at Raise the Valley. That's RaysTheValley. That's one word. And the founder herself on Instagram at Keto Kelisi. That's KETOKETOKHALEESI. And the links have been provided in the show notes. So that's the end of today's episode. But wait! I just want to say thank you so much for listening to today's episode of the Insightful Nutrition Podcast. If you like the show, be sure to not forget to subscribe, rate, and review the show on Apple Podcast. This will help listeners like you to find and share the show with your friends and family. Allow the show to become more searchable and help with Apple Podcast rankings. I appreciate you so much for tuning in to today's episode, and I hope to see you in the next episode. Bye-bye for now.